Hello, and I'd like to welcome you all once again to the old schoolhouse here in the hamlet of Butterstone in Scotland for another one of our wee Saturday night shows. And this is number 170, can you believe it? And it's nice to be back in Butterstone. We've done the last couple from up from the island of Lewis, and it was pretty brutal weather up there. And it's been incredibly mild since we got back down. In fact, it's been so mild that all my bees have come out, and I have quite a lot of hives. And actually, 10 out of 11 of the hives have all seemed to have survived. One hive passed away and died, but you can never tell what's happened to it. But they're still not out of the wood yet. I had to feed them this week. I had to go and feed them all because this is too early for them to be all out and for there to be as much activity as there was in the last few days. But anyway, could you please welcome to the stage the wonderful Tatty Faces? They are so excited about tonight because they haven't been able to do a performance for the last 3 weeks. And I was expecting the place to be like in a real mess when I got back after the party, and I would have expected them to have been having. But no, it was they've been pretty well. I think they've been quite quiet. Anyway, I thought I would start with this song. There's a couple of requests. I'll read them out after I've done it. But I wrote this song from the eyes of my great-great-grandfather who lived on the north shores of Loch Etive up in Argyllshire, and a place called Caderley. And it's about the things that he would see and the things that he wouldn't see. And I remember my father telling me that because it's a sea loch, and there's a wee burn which runs up beside Caderley. And my father told me that my grandfather had built a little dam up on the little burn because the sea trout came up. The sea trout came in and went up the little burn to spawn, to lay their eggs. So, but he had a wee dam made so that they would stop in the little pond before they headed up, and he just could go out and get a sea trout anytime he wanted. So I thought it's brilliant. It's great kind of local knowledge. Anyway, so we'll try it and see how we got on. Stand naked, I'm the native one. I'll start again. Senior moment to start the show off, that's quite good. Stop laughing, Mr. Dieface. She loves me not. Where can this simple island boy begin? Highland pride is all I've got, but in the darkness it means everything. It makes me one with the tide. It makes me strong when I'm burning inside. Standing here on Caderley, between the barn and the turning sea, I gaze across at these golden hills. I'm looking all the way to eternity, all the way to eternity. Stand naked, I'm the native one. I like to feel the wind across my face. I like to dream, but maybe I should run in case our tracks get covered and we leave no trace of where we have come, no trace of song we can hold for our young. Standing here on Caderley, between the barn and the turning sea, I gaze across at these golden hills. I will sow the seed again. And I will plant this field and know it's never ending. I'll lose a son to the German wars. We'll lose the land he was fighting for. We'll lose our language to greed and gain, all washed away by a southern rain. Washed until we can't see what our own destiny meant us to be. Standing here on Caterlee, between the barn and the turning sea, I gaze across at these golden hills. I'm on Caterlee, between the barn and the turning sea, I gaze across these golden hills. I'm looking all the way to eternity, all the way to eternity. Thank you very much, and that's my wee song "Eternity" about from the eyes of my great-great-grandfather and my great-grandfather. Sorry, not my great-great-grandfather, great-grandfather, and he was a native Gaelic speaker, and he came over from the island of Mull, and but spoke English and Gaelic, but sadly and my grandfather spoke English and Gaelic, but sadly my grandfather never taught my father to speak Gaelic, and as a result, the Gaelic language is now lost completely from my family. In fact, I think my last great aunt that had the language died a number of years ago. Once she was gone, that was it, completely gone from my mind. It's a sad thing when you lose your native language, you know, because you lose all the poetry and all the kind of stories and all the things that would be your natural kind of hereditary kind of right. Anyway, when I was talking to the Tatty Faces, and they were saying, let's do lots of songs for the global choir tonight. Let's do global choir songs. So we're going to so we'll do one now, which you've all sung before. And I thought this was quite relevant after coming down from the island of Lewis, where the winds were just so wild, and it was just such a wild time. And it's my version of a kind of night visiting song. And you just sing, "Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild and windy night? Will you catch me if I'm falling on this wild and windy night?" We'll do the chorus a couple of times for the global choir. What's this? Before I start the song. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild and windy night? Will you catch me if I'm falling on this wild and windy night? Okay, that's what you sing. So now's the time to have a wee mouthful of whatever refreshment you've got close to you. Whether it's a cup of tea or a wee glass of port or a wee glass of whiskey or a wee wine or whatever. And get your vocal cords. Let's see how this global choir is performing on this Saturday night. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild and windy night? Will you catch me if I'm falling on this wild and windy night? When I may lose my way back home, lose the signs that I've been shown, wander helpless through the storm, all alone. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild windy night? Will you catch me if I'm falling on this wild and windy night? When I may lose the sense to run, finish what I've not begun, fading with the winter sun, everything undone. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild windy night? Will you catch me if I'm calling on this wild and windy night? When I may lose the strength to dream, for nothing is the way it seems, and all the places I have been, forever unseen. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild windy night? Will you catch me if I'm falling on this wild and windy night? This is where you sing it on your own, along with the tatty faces. Here we go. Will you beautiful. I'm getting the vibe, I'm getting the vocal choir vibe here in the old schoolhouse. And we're going to do it again with a few wee harmonies and things. It's feeling that good. Here we go. Will you? Good voice tonight, I can tell. Don't they, Mr. Tattyface? Yes. Aren't we Duncan? Yeah. It's because of the vibe of them getting to do a wee show after 3 weeks. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild windy night? Will you catch me if I'm falling on this wild and windy night? Oh, and nothing ever calms the fear, out of sight but always near, waiting for the sky to clear. I will disappear. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild and windy night? Will you catch me if I'm falling on this wild and windy night? One last time. Will you hear me if I'm calling on this wild and windy night? well done. That was sounding great. I've got all goose pimples on actually from it. And I'm going to read out a couple of requests here. The first song was requested by Marion Morrison in Aberdeen. Hi, Marion. For Mark Gibbs from we don't know where, and for Lillian Evans, or Lillian's a regular, from Olympia in Washington. Weldon Windy Night was requested by Clive Williams from Cardiff in Wales. That's a lovely part of the world down there. And Jenny's just passed me this little message. And hello, is my stepdaughter Jane is watching from Colo in Australia. And Colo, she's singing along on the, she's on the banks of the Colo River, which is it's one of the most. Hi, Jane. It's one of the most beautiful parts of Australia, I think, and spent a wee bit of time there with Jane and family, and I love it. So I hope you're all well, and I'll continue here with. This is a wee song which I wrote up in Lewis for a friend of mine who who was teaching me about the sea. And this has got a chorus as well, and I'm just going to get my wee tenor guitar. So it was. I called the song "Wild Atlantic Sun" because he was a pretty crazy guy, and he took me out into the wild Atlantic and taught me about the sea. But it was interesting because I was looking at some of the Facebook comments earlier on, and there was a comment that made me remember about a great story about another friend of mine who also taught me about the sea, Murray MacLeod. But there was this great story about, they have lots of sheep up on Lewis. There are sheep everywhere, and there are no fences to keep the sheep in. The sheep just wander everywhere. And Murray had this prize ram. The ram, which is the sheep with the big horns. And he had this big prize ram. And he was really worried that some of the tourists would knock it down because they just wander everywhere. So he had this brilliant idea, and he took it into the croft, and he painted its horns day-glow orange. The logic was that the tourists would see him. Of course they could, but there was tourists getting taken into having to go and get therapy because they'd be driving along these wee windy Lewis roads, and they'd go round a corner, and here in front of them are these day-glow orange horns with the two yellow eyes. And they're going, oh, Beelzebub, Anyway, it was a lovely story, and so I thought I would just share that with you. I'd forgotten all about it, that Murray's ram. It was quite a story up there. I'm going to have a wee mouthful of my port here, just to. Got a wee tickle in my throat. So, the chorus is easy. You sing, on the shoulders of the ocean, on the bare back of the sea, held in her eternal motion, someone to carry me. On the shoulders of the ocean, on the bare back of the sea, held in her eternal motion, someone to carry me. Here we go. Maybe we'll do a chorus just to start off, just to get you in the kind of mood. This is what you sing. On the shoulders of the ocean, on the bare back of the sea, held in her eternal motion, someone to carry me. What you sing, all right? When first he rounded Pavimore and met the mountain waves alone, there was fear till there was fear no more. Wild Atlantic sun, and he lent her gentle, he lent her strong, till he could feel her every heaving breath, and he knew that he could do no wrong. Wild Atlantic sun. Loch Row in gentle calm, the sunset fell with wondered eyes. He'd sleep so still while Atlantic sun, here we go, why am I on the shoulders of the ocean, on the bareback of the sea, held in her eternal motion, someone to carry me. You want to sing on your own? Try on your own. Come on. On the shoulders of on the shoulders of the ocean, on the bareback of the sea, held in her eternal motion, someone to carry me, someone to carry me. Someone to carry me, someone to carry me, someone to carry me. Thank you very much. Well done. That was sounding good. That was feeling good. And that's my wee song for Callum up in Lewis. And I'm going to finish with this wee song. I've got a Pubby. Now that was that. So I'm singing that for all my pals up on the island that I was with in the last couple of weeks. Oh, and those of you who heard me talking about my friend Finn, who from the song, I mentioned him in my Feel So Near song, and he had terrible trouble with his ears. Well, he went to the ear doctor, and he's had them all cleaned out, and he can hear again. So he doesn't need the big petrol filler, which I had him using so he could hear. So that's an in-joke for those who watched the shows from Lewis. But he's great. So Finn might be watching tonight. So good, Finn. And, so I'm going to do this wee song, which I haven't done for a while, and it was requested by Rebecca James in Auckland, in New Zealand, and Brian Dennings in Manchester, in England. Hi, folks. So just going to have another wee mouthful of this. I've been fixing my old tractor. I've got an old 1947 Ferguson tractor, and I've been fixing it out in my shed, grinding and doing things, and creates quite a lot of dust. It's a pretty silly thing for a singer to be doing, because of wee dryness in your throat. Anyway, so here we go. He walks, he does not run. He has no overwhelming need to fly. His heart remains unbroken. No need to search the sky. But me, I've never found that place wander recklessly, but I know that she will find me. I know that she will find me, even if I vanish without trace. Oh, and though I'm running blindly, I know that she will find me, hiding with the shadows that I chase. No one can rock his boat or make standing waves upon his sea. Everything is calm and even, steady, safe as it should be. But me, I've never found that place. I wander recklessly, but I know that she will find me. I know that she will find me, even if I vanish without trace. Oh, and though I'm running blindly, I know that she will find me, hiding with the shadows that I chase. Sometimes we search too deep. That's when the darkness feeds our fear. We turn away from one another, just in case we get too near. Me, I stand this mountain top, I shout so she can hear, and I know that she will find me. I know that she will find me, even if I vanish without trace. Oh, and though I'm running blindly, I know that she will find me, hiding with the shadows that I chase. And I know that she will find me. I know that she will find me, even if I vanish without trace. Oh, and though I'm running blindly, I know that she will find me, hiding with the shadows that I chase. Thank you very much, and that was my wee song, She Will Find Me, and that brings us to the end of our wee half-an-hour Saturday night soiree here in the old schoolhouse. Lots of thanks to the lovely Tatty Faces for their contribution, and their immaculate accompaniment as always. Thanks to Jenny, who's up the back, who's been pressing the buttons, and thanks for joining us, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Next week is an actual ticketed show. It's a 1-hour ticketed special show, and you can buy your tickets for it on www.dougiemacleanlive.com. And the way this works is that you guys can help kind of subsidize by buying tickets, you subsidize the free ones so that everybody can get a chance to have a wee join in with the global choir in the old schoolhouse here. So the system works really well. So I hope you're all looking after each other, taking care of each other. Pretty scary times, terrible things happening in the world, you know. And always seem to be, these days, I always seem to have some kind of heavy heart about something or other, you know. Anyway, but as long as we all kind of look after each other and stay cheery and smile like a tatty face, we can get through most things. But all the best to all the folk in Turkey and Syria. That's a terrible, 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 sad thing that's going on there. And I'll have nothing left to do now but just say Aichava and good night, and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week for the 1-hour special. Bye-bye now.